Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nate McNamara. You might know me as the Walmart Young Buck. And tonight, we're going to take you on a journey. We're going to take you on a journey into the career of the greatest, most dominant, and most decorated combat sports athlete in the history of mankind. I'm speaking, of course, about the Conqueror, the Beast Incarnate, the mayor of Suplex City, Brock Lesnar. How's everybody doing tonight?
Well, I'm ready to take that trip down memory lane. It's Suplex City's town hall. Let's go.
Suplex City, bitch. All right. As always, we got Shadow and we got Sean joining us tonight. Scals is in the background. He might pop up later. Who knows? We'll see. We'll talk about it. But why don't we just kind of get on into this? We'll get right into the background of Brock Lesnar because we got a lot to cover, boys. Excuse me. A lot of people knew this one. I mean, it's pretty common knowledge. South Dakota, middle of fucking nowhere, grew up on a dairy farm. I never knew he went into the National Guard. He was a National Guard, whatever they're called, Ranger, pussy, I don't know.
All right.
But was discharged because he was colorblind and he failed a computer typing test. So he was actually kicked out because of that. He wrestled at Bismarck State College, Bismarck, fucking South Dakota, I guess. Won a Junior College Athletic Association championship, then transferred to the University of Minnesota, where he was roommates with Shelton Benjamin. He was a two-time Big Ten Conference champion, two-time All-American, and he was the 2000 NCAA heavyweight champion. His overall record in 4 years of college wrestling was 106 wins and just 5 losses. And that is absolutely fucking wild to me.
That's crazy.
Straight out of college, WWE signed him. They signed him right to a developmental deal, sent him straight to Ohio Valley Wrestling. And he was part of what is widely recognized as the greatest developmental class of all time from Ohio Valley Wrestling. That included Shelton Benjamin, Batista, Randy Orton, and John Cena.
I'd go as far as saying even when NXT classes, it's still arguably the best class in developmental history.
Absolutely. I mean, think of the number of world championships, WrestleMania main events, Royal Rumble victories. Like, I think all 4 of those guys outside of Shelton Benjamin have won 2 Royal Rumbles, if I'm not wrong. I think all of them have won 2.
I think Lesnar's only won 1, hasn't he?
He won 2003 or 4, and then he won that one.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
A few years back. Excuse me.
That's right.
Or was it last year? I think it was last year.
Did he win last year?
Yeah, he won last year and went against Roman and lost the unified title.
Yeah, that's right. He won the
that was stupid. Anyways, in 2002, he debuted with Paul Heyman at his side as his on-screen agent and manager. He immediately feuded with both of the Hardy Boys to start his main roster career. He was quickly pushed right up to the top of the card. He won the King of the Ring tournament 3 months after debuting. He ended up feuding with Hulk Hogan and The Rock and actually defeated all of those people. Defeated The Rock at SummerSlam in 2002 to win the WWE title. The youngest man to do so.
Which happened in Toronto, Ontario.
Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And it was he was the youngest man to win the WWE championship and still is to this day. The only person to have to be younger and win a world title of any kind was Randy Orton, and he won the world heavyweight title at 24, I think. Excuse me. Lesnar ended up feuding shortly after that with people like Undertaker and Edge, and ended up losing the title to Big Show thanks to a betrayal from Paul Heyman, something that became a pattern in their career. He then went on to win the Royal Rumble match in 2003. Went on to face Kurt Angle for the WWE title at WrestleMania. During the match, Lesnar attempted a shooting star press, one of the most infamous WrestleMania images of all time. Attempted the shooting star press, a move that he had used all the time in OVW. There's so much footage of him using it and nailing it every single time. For some reason, he just didn't get the rotation. landed right on his head and neck and knocked himself the fuck out. Got him.
The fact that he didn't paralyze himself or die is just crazy.
Like I don't think he ever tried it again after that.
I don't think so.
Kurt Angle, oddly enough, was already wrestling the match with a broken neck, something that was a very common thing for him, apparently. He had to help Lesnar, who was just basically unconscious walking, had to help him improvise the finish of the match so that Lesnar could still win the match and win the title.
The lights were on, but nobody was home.
Up to that point, the match was phenomenal.
I would still stack that as one of Lesnar's best matches of all time.
Oh, absolutely. And it helped that Lesnar and Angle were such good friends behind the scenes, too. Like, some of the shit that they did behind, like, backstage segments, so funny. So funny. Yeah. Lesnar does not get enough credit for how funny he can be. He lost the title to Angle back to Angle at Vengeance in a triple threat match that also had the Big Show, only to win it back from Angle in what I believe is one of the greatest televised, like on, broadcast TV, not pay-per-view, one of the greatest matches to ever be televised on WWE. It was an Iron Man match between him and Kurt Angle. Unbelievable match, September 18th, 2003. If you haven't seen that match, go open the cock and go watch it sometime. You heard me. Lesnar ended up holding that championship until No Mercy 2004 in another iconic match, iconic finish, where he lost the title to Eddie Guerrero via frog splash after both interference from Goldberg and then Eddie hitting a DDT onto Lesnar onto the belt. Very convoluted finish to make Lesnar still look strong and let Eddie win the championship that he deserved to win. But
still one of the best feuds, too.
Still one of the greatest
in the Bay Area as well, in California.
Oh, yeah. In the lead up to their match at WrestleMania 20, it was leaked that both Goldberg and Lesnar were departing the WWE. The fans got pissed, and they infamously hijacked the match. Lesnar lost the match, and then shortly after the match, special guest referee Stone Cold Steve Austin nailed both men with Stone Cold Stunners, making the crowd happy so that they could leave.
See, that's how bad that match was. That even implanting Stone Cold didn't even save it to the end.
Right.
And then even then, it didn't really save it. It just gave them a happy pop.
Right. Like everyone still looks back about how absolutely god awful that match really was. Excuse me. Luckily, they got to redeem themselves later on, so we'll get to that. Lesnar did indeed leave WWE right after that, after just 2 short years on the main roster, citing burnout, lingering injuries, creative differences, and also an alcohol and painkiller addiction. So that sums up his very first stint in WWE.
So before we move on to that next section you want to move on to, it's crazy to think about the body of work he did in 2 years on that main roster.
Oh, yeah. And the names that he went over: Undertaker, right, Kurt Angle, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Edge. He went over all of those people.
Right. And I don't know if that's a tribute to what he can do or just proper booking. Maybe both. But
right,
it was still crazy to think that was only a 2-year run and the amount of matches he did and the stuff he was doing.
Right. And he was 25. Like, he wasn't. I don't know how. I don't know. It's just wild to me. But he then decided to go
on. Than everything dragged.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. He then went on to go on a whole bunch of side quests for the next decade. He opted to try out for the National Football League in 2004 in an attempt to prove doubters wrong after succeeding as an amateur wrestler who had no college offers. When he went to college at Bismarck State, he had no offers from any college anywhere. He was a walk-on. He basically wanted to just prove his doubters wrong. People said that he would never have been able to succeed in a real sport like football. Excuse me. Their words, not mine. After a ridiculously good showing at the NFL Combine, Lesnar got into a motorcycle accident that left him with a broken jaw, a broken left hand, along with a bruised pelvis and a torn groin muscle. Despite this, the Vikings still signed him, and he actually played in all of their preseason games that year before being released at the start of the season because of his groin injury proving to just hold him back too much. So the man played 4 preseason games with the Vikings with a torn groin, and it was like he was a last-minute cut. That's fucking wild. Like, he would have been on the Vikings had that injury not happened, for sure.
Right. Crazy.
That was one of the quicker side quests. After that, about a year later, after healing up, getting healthy, he went to debut for New Japan Pro Wrestling. In his very first match, won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. This I didn't know until I researched this. Again, my favorite thing about these. While Lesnar was gone, WWE attempted to sue him while he was working for New Japan for using the F5 and calling it the F5, and also just for wrestling for New Japan in the first place. They were unsuccessful. The case got thrown out, but he started just to be petty and to be a dick. He started calling his F5 the verdict while he was doing that, and I think that's just hilarious. A nice little subtle fuck you to the WWE. Excuse me. He eventually lost the title to then TNA World Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle in what would be Lesnar's last professional wrestling match until 2012. In 2007, after a little bit of a hiatus, Lesnar was offered a one-fight deal with the UFC. He lost to Frank Mir in 90 seconds, but apparently impressed UFC officials enough to see that he had some potential.
Dude, that Mir fight was wild, but I just remember it was such a good build up to it, like the amount of publicity around it, and then Lesnar getting thrown around in 90 seconds was just even better.
Right. He was then signed to on a full-time basis, and in just his third UFC fight, he defeated Randy Couture by TKO for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. I don't know if you've seen that fight. I watched that fight live. That was a good fucking fight. After a few more, sorry,
it definitely was good. Like a lot of his UFC, like I know you're still diving into this, but a lot of his UFC work, man, he can throw. He's not a very shy man about that.
Oh yeah. I think it was the match with Randy Couture where he I think it was Randy Couture that he caught talking shit about him backstage or something, and he's like, "All right, we'll figure this out." Or is either that, or is this the match he had before Randy Couture? If anyone knows and anyone wants to correct me, please do. But I remember reading about that. Excuse me. After a few more title defenses, it was revealed that Lesnar had been competing while suffering from diverticulitis, and he also had a perforated intestine. And he required surgery and nearly fucking died. So he was he was fighting in the UFC with this life-threatening condition.
Yeah.
And winning. He eventually lost his title. Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. He eventually lost his title to Cain Velasquez in 2010, and then very quietly. With that being said, Shadow, where can we find you?
You can find me right here every Saturday night with the Ringside Crew, a.k.a. Ringside Chatter with Dusty and Scalzone. And Monday nights you can catch me and Jaxpo with Sorry for the Interruption, where we don't give a fuck if we interrupt your night.
All right. Sean, where can we find you, buddy?
Find me over on our sister channel with Rivet City Radio for Sunday's table spot with Mike, Metalcore Mike, Cam G, and I discussing everything. You can find me occasionally on Wednesdays on Rivet City Radio with IWG with Will Gray. And you can find me on social media, Alpha Wolf Sean B 2.0 Instagram. Click the link. Find everything there. I'm not going to explain everything else, so you know what to do. Buy my merch on Off the Top merch site as well. The Sin City Wolf. Go buy it. Put some money in my pocket. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Jordan says you can find me in the comment section. Boy, we can find you in the barnyard, all right?
And the petting zoos.
Y'all can find me on TikTok at Nate McNamara WB. That's pretty much it. You can also find me here every 2 weeks. I think in 2 weeks, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to branch out from pro wrestling again and jump into the entertainment world. I was rattling this around in my head lately, and I actually made the decision today. I woke up this morning, got in my car, went to work, put on my phone. Every single day, I put my entire music library on shuffle and just listen to whatever pops up. It's my favorite thing in the world because I almost never get repeat songs. I woke up this morning, put my library on shuffle, and the very first song that came up was Numb by Linkin Park.
Yes.
And I'm like, I have a career retrospective tonight. And I remember how the Robin Williams one ended. It went so well. And I thought we had a great time doing it. This is going to be a tough one. It's going to be difficult. I'm sure it's going to be, there's going to be emotions and stuff coming out. But 2 weeks from tonight, join us again. We're going to be taking on the career and the life of Linkin Park lead singer Chester Bennington.
Oh, that's
Please
awesome. I love that.
Yes. Please join us. I'm gonna get working on that outline this weekend and get it done. And then we're gonna push this really hard. We're gonna get people in here. It's gonna be different.
I love it because, like I said, I'm a huge Linkin Park fan. I have a signed photo of the entire band on my wall. So
hell yeah. 4 weeks from now, I feel like 2 weeks from now we can afford the sad, emotional, borderline depressing episode that we're probably gonna have.
Kicking off December with a great start.
Because 2 weeks after that, we're gonna take on the career of WWE's resident Santa Claus, Hall of Famer, Mick Foley.
I gotta get my Santa suit for that. I gotta order my Santa.
What is that you're wearing now? I mean, the only thing you're missing is a red coat, bro.
I love how me and Nate are like, aren't you wearing it now?
Oh, God. All right. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. See you next time. Have a great night.